All right, we'll go ahead and get started. I know there will be a few more people trickling in here. Welcome everybody to the webinar. Really excited to have you all here. I know a lot of you have maybe sat in a few of these before. You probably recognize myself. I'm Spencer Dorn. I work with our support team and our product team with New Hudl. Worked on this for a few years now since I've been at Hudl. Before being at Hudl, I was with South Dakota State as their video coordinator and special teams assistant. So I've used Hudl's product live and in person, as well as working on it on the back end. I'm excited to demo this tonight with you. With me is Austin Hayden. He's going to be helping send questions my way. That way, while I'm demoing, we can make sure we can get that stuff out there. We will try to answer as many questions live. If we do miss one, we will try and get the transcripts so that we can get that stuff put out there right away and get an answer for you as quickly as possible. So we want to make sure we can get as much of it in there as we can. But we'll start out with a demo on New Hudl, and then we'll go from there. So some of you who have sat in these before know that New Hudl is how Hudl is going to be moving towards in the future. I can confidently say that 2023 will not be the end of Classic. We are going to keep Classic around during 2023 season. However, now is the time to learn it. We heard from a lot of you this fall that it was too close to season when it came out. We didn't have time to learn it. I didn't want to take the time. Totally understand. I totally get, our profession is very much like coaches. I mean, we work on your guys' schedule. So the fall is as busy for you guys as it is for us. So we get it. It's not a great time to have to try and learn something new. That's why we want to do this now. That's why we want you to deep dive in here, especially while you're doing end of season analysis or anything like that. Really see all the tools that come with New Hudl and going from there. So we'll start out with the schedule page. This schedule page is different, but once you understand how we changed it, it's a lot easier to grasp. So right away, what we did was we flipped. Instead of looking for the season and then finding your opponent under that season, now you're looking for your opponent, and then under that opponent, you'll have the different seasons worth of film. So if I click into any of these, you'll see 2022-23. And if there's film from past years, it'll all show up underneath there. Like in here, 21-22. Again, if I had past film in there, it would show all of that within that portion. So if we click into any of these, I can see that specific opponent film. Again, practice and scout film under that event will also show up in here. It's based off of how your schedule is set in Hudl, which that doesn't change. None of that setup has changed. So that part is still the same. This season will go in chronological order. Past teams is going to show up based off of the most recent time that they were scheduled. So if you have a bunch of past teams in there, it'll list them off. If any of them are grayed out, like some of these, all that means is that there's just no film under that event. So we just don't allow you to click on it because there's no film there for you to even watch. So it's just kind of easing you to know, like, okay, I don't have anything under them right now. Your team at the top here, this is where you can go to make your end of season analysis and everything like that. So you can go through and click on all your games for the season by doing that, or clicking specific ones that you want to see and then opening those up like so. Okay, so now we're into New Hudl. This part can sometimes be a little overwhelming. I get it. But we put the grid on the bottom. So that part, nothing has changed on that part. You enter your data the exact same, just like you do in Classic. None of that part is going to be different. You can scroll down. Truly, the only part that's different is I don't have to tab over to get to the next 100 clips. I can just continue to scroll and it goes all the way to the end. So that makes it a little easier I guess, that part's all the same, but it does a lot. Like all of this is the exact same. A part that's nice about it is I can come in here and I can put motion. And then if I come down to this and look at motion direction, it says 46 and 54. So if I just delete this out, it adjusts right away. So as soon as I'm entering that data, it's going to show right away on the side here that, okay, now it's updated. Now it's done this and that. So that part of it is really nice because I can instantly see it. This is a live classic library report. We've looked at the classic library reports and they're great. Totally understand liking them. We used them all the time when I was at South Dakota State and at the random high schools that I've been at as well. I used them constantly. This part is nice because I can see it right away. And rather than running the report and clicking to see that playlist and then having to go back to the report, click on the next one, see that playlist, go back and forth, I can watch the video, see my report, and enter any data that I need to right here. Now, if I want to say I'm done entering data, I'm good, I've got that all taken care of, I can hit this analyze button. This analyze button is basically the same as what was above the column heads in Classic. We just moved it up here because this is the analyze column now. We gave you all of it on the right side with the percentages and everything like that right then and there. The video screen is a lot bigger. This is going to give you a lot more visual, and in New Hudl, I can pan in and watch a play from that distance. So for my O-line, D-line coaches or any DB coaches or receivers, the coaches that like that stuff, I can sit there and watch that part right there. Now you might notice here, we have officially added start and stop flags. I know that was a big one that everybody wanted for a lot of season. They have been added. They were added last week. So I can start and stop right at that point. And when I reverse, it's going to take me back to wherever I stop it from there. So that is.
We have a question. Can you label motion other than RT, LT?
Yeah. So the right and left motion direction, that is how you can do that. There is a motion column that will allow you to name them whatever you call them at that point. So yes, that is how that part works. Okay, so say I'm looking at the film, I'm going through the breakdown, tendency, all of that stuff. And I noticed that one of the columns has the wrong information in there. I can hit this edit button and just quick edit it without having to move the columns back to the bottom and all of that stuff. I can see that part in there. With the breakdown columns, you can have both, which is great. I can also adjust it so I do get a bigger screen from there. I can make it bigger if I need to while you're filling in the breakdown data. One that I like when I'm going through specific columns for myself is I like to put the grid on the side. It gives me a larger video, and I can see my columns and my column set right here. So it does allow me to get through and watch all of that and then go on to the next play. Same thing, fill out my information, move on to the next one from there. So this gives me the same abilities while I'm having a bigger screen to watch the film and all of that side of it. You can also just have the grid on the bottom with no analyze section on the side. So it does give you that option there. Going back to, do we have a couple of questions here? Your input columns, so like any columns that you're wanting to add data to, yes. If I come in here and I click over, I can import any of my breakdown, my custom column sets that I have in Classic. I'll be able to import those from there. So if I just do this and import it, I now have this import here. It just says import next to it. It's a way for us to track it on the back end. It doesn't mean anything bad on your side. It just means something for us. It gives me all my information in here. If I want to create a new column set, I can hit new. This is going to give me all my columns within here. Base is just basic ones that Hudl gives each time. Offense, defense, and special teams affects those accordingly. So any of these will have specific things to that portion. And then any custom columns that you have will fill in right there as well. So if I go in and do defense and I want to add blitz, it'll add it to the bottom. I can then drag it to wherever I need to. And I can name this whatever I want at that point and hit done. Now I can come in and the blitz column is right where I need it to be. And it shows up the same up here. So then I can start filling in that information as you go.
A follow-up question was, if you change these column sets, does it apply to the whole team?
It does not. It will affect just that coach at this time. So when you change your columns, it'll just change for you. Yes, that's how that part works. Good question. We'll get to notes and annotations, I promise. Yes, that what you're asking has been fixed, but I'll address it as well. Okay, we had, some of you might have run into this. We had something where it looked like it was losing your data when you imported your column sets. That was not the case. We just had a blocker on the back end that was not allowing for undercase lettering to show up. We fixed all that. All the data came right back in. So you can see everything there. There's no hiding it anymore or anything like that. We noticed that. We appreciate the people that brought that to our awareness. Okay, so that's really the breakdown portion of it. It's like I said, a lot of it is very much the same as Classic. That part hasn't really changed. Only other thing here is that I can hit reorder and I can adjust the plays based off of that. So I can go through and adjust them on this bar on the side here and move them up and down at that point. And then I just hit done. I can also add all the items. So I can add them to any current playlists under that opponent or under our team, or I can create a new playlist. If I select a certain play, then I can add it to a team highlight or an athlete highlight. We just changed where the star is located at that point. Right now, if you select more than one play, it won't let you add it to a highlight. We know we're getting that changed. So if any of your athletes have noticed that, or if you have noticed that while you're making a team highlight, we're aware of that part of it. We'll get that cleaned up, I promise. Okay, so let's go to the analyze feature. So the analyze feature here, like I said earlier, this is Classic Library Reports on steroids. So this is the part where we want to give you as much information as possible based off of what you have entered into your columns. So anything that's entered in there, the more you enter in your columns, the more you're going to get out of this. So if I want to filter by all my offensive plays, third down, pass, I can filter by that. I now see that there were 17 plays between these two games, that was the case. Here's the formations that we ran them out of, the top three. And then if I expand it, it shows me all of them. Here's what backfields we ran it out of. There's only one play labeled, and I can check that by going here and putting the analyze on the side here. I can check that based off of play information and all of that stuff. I can get any and all of it in here. So the more, like I said, the more that you have in the columns, the more that you're going to get out of this. When I have this, so say you create these cut ups every single week, you want to see all your third down pass, all your third down run, all your second down pass, second down run, etc., etc. I can come up here and I can have these 3 filtered and hit save. And I can say third down, pass, test. And I can hit enter. It saves it so that when I clear this, I can come up to my filters, hit that one, and it's going to filter by those specific plays just like that. Makes it a lot easier on that front. As you can see, I have a couple of different ones, so I can click on any of these and have it. Then I can just save my playlist and move on to the next one from there. Makes it, again, makes it a lot faster to create your cut-ups when you have these created up here, and I can just boom, 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 every single week. I know what cut-ups I got to make, moving on to the next ones. This is not reliant on the certain cut-up that you're on or playlist that you're on. These will stick with you on any video that you're on. But these are unique to just the coach as well. So if your one coach is making those cut-ups every single week, he knows that he just has to make these filters. Now he's making those cut-ups. You're moving on from there. I see a question about shortcut between typing and rewind, fast forward. Yes, there is. You can, if I'm just going with the arrow keys, it's going to keep me on the columns so I can adjust there. If I hold down shift, now it is going to allow me to fast forward and rewind or do anything like that, skip to the next play, anything along those lines. So as soon as I hold shift, it's going to adjust it so that it is recognizing on the video player rather than in the columns themselves. Good question there. Okay, so going back to analyze, we also this fall added custom filters. This was one that was asked about a lot as well. If you click on the 3 dots, you have the custom filter option. We right now have 3 options in here based on what the questions or what the column is, what the card has for information. So you have in list. This would be kind of like how you do in between. This will give you all the values that are in that list currently. So if I'm doing my short yardage, I can do 1 through 3, save it, have third down listed. And now up here, it'll have down and distance 1 to 3 yards. Again, I can save that as a filter so that it quick filters it every single week, so that I can just power through my cut-ups and then start watching and analyzing the information and all that stuff. Once you have it saved, you can go in and you can either hit cancel or you can go back and you can adjust it from there. Greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, fairly self-explanatory. If I just want less than or equal to, and then I can enter what value I need. Whoops. It's because it's -1 and there's not one in there. So if I need 10, now it has less than or equal to 10 yards in there. Other things that you can do with this, I can run a report. So for our coaches that still like the report, they like it in their hand, all that stuff, I get it 100%. We have what's called the overview report when you first click into any of the cards. The overview report is going to give you a basic rundown of everything within the columns. It is going to show you the frequency that a play is run, as well as average yards per that play or per that event, or that play that happened. And then the efficiency of those plays is what we're going to look at as well. More details, I can see, plays that were run, what direction they were run, offensive strength, field boundary, motion, anything that's in here. It's going to give me a rundown of all of it. I can also come up here and I can run specific ones that I want to see. So if I want to see down, and then I want to see what formation, and I want to see where on the field, I can do that so that it shows that 109 of these plays were run plays, 54 of them were on first down, 21 were out of twins. here's where we were on the field when we ran those plays. You'll notice that some of these are bolded. That just shows the highest amount out of each one. So obviously 100% is good. Average of 16 yards, that might be one that stands out. 29%, they're looking like they might run that a lot more often from there, and so on and so forth all the way through. Again, if it's just blank, it just means that there's no data there. I can make this full screen, so if it, or bigger screen, so that on the side it's a lot of scrolling and doing that stuff. If I make it big screen, it allows me to see a lot more information here without having to scroll nearly as much. Now this one is going to give me a lot more on that part. From here, I can save it, share it, or print it. I can make the print a lot easier by just clicking, and then it'll pull up a print preview. I don't know that you guys can see that part, but print preview will show there. It works just the same as it does with classic library reports on that front. So that side of it is there. Your ungrouped stats down at the bottom here. So ungrouped stats, we just call them ungrouped stats because those are where your custom columns are going to show. So if you have a column set that you put in here, or you have a column that you put in here, you fill it out every single week that you want that information. We just put it under here for right now. If I need to move it, I can click the 3 dots and I can move any of these. So like this one's in ungrouped stats. If it's in ungrouped stats to start, it's going to have a whole list of the different columns there so that I can move it accordingly at that point. Once I move it, it will stay in that location for myself. It does not affect the other coaches, so they can customize how they want it as well on their end. If there's any of these columns that you're like, yeah, I don't use that, I don't need this here, I don't really care about it right now, I can move it to ungrouped stats so it's just down here out of my way. That way I don't have to worry about it. I don't look at it, and you can go from there. Again, if you want to move it back, pretty easy. You can just click and move it back. If it's one that we have a card for, you can only move it to the location that it originally was in. If it's one that you had created, then you have options to move it wherever you need at that point. Do we have any questions here that I can run through?
We do have a few. So one that's been asked a few times is there a way to transfer classic reports into New Hudl, like down and distance, field zone, formation, etc.?
There's not a way to just transfer those into New Hudl. You can do them within New Hudl. You just have to create the report. So like your down distance ones, a lot of times it's literally run a report on down, and I can click on distance and I can see all that stuff. I did it earlier today. Actually, like if you want to see specific distances, I can click on first down, run the custom filter for enlist of 10, because first down is typically just that. And then if I want to run a report on run pass, now it is showing me first down and 10. Here's where they were on the field, and you can go from that point. So it's just a matter of kind of combining the filtering and that part of it to run your report. But it's possible to do. We just don't have the like preset ones that we had in Classic at this point. I can tell you we have a ticket out to add that, so it is on our radar. We just don't have I don't have a time frame of when that will get looked at this point in time.
There was another question about will the Hudl remote work like it does with Classic?
Yeah, I've got one right here. Bluetooth remote will work with New Hudl. It works just fine. It has to be one of our Bluetooth remotes. It can't be one of the wired ones. That's just based off of technology improvements. You know, it stinks, but with advancements come that type of thing. We have to move on with that part. So it does have to be one of our Bluetooth ones, but it works like a charm. Mine actually might be dead right now, or I would.
There's another question. Can you analyze 2 or more games at the same time? So pull in the information at the same time.
Yeah, I'm actually doing that right now. I have 2 games selected. So you absolutely can. Like if I scroll down a little further, this is a completely different game. So it does give you that option in here.
You want to run them through this, like how you do that selection really quick?
Yeah. So if I'm in here, in my schedule page, I can just select whichever games next to it like this. And then I can select that part. If I'm already in a game and I want to switch or add another game, I just click on the 3 videos selected or whatever it says up here if you're just looking at one. And then I can select the dots next to it and it will add that film to it. So that now I have more clips in there. Ooh.
We also, another one that's been asked a few times, is the report, the what's next report available in New Hudl?
Say that one more time, sorry.
The what's next report.
Yeah, we don't have a game plan of when that's going to be put in here. Again, we do know that the reports are needed. We know we want to add those ones that we already had, but we don't have a time frame of when that part's going to be added in here. I see a question about setting up a good highlight clip. Sure. So if I go in here, I'm watching this play. I'll hit selected item. Team highlight, I can add it there, or I can come under here and I can add it to a specific player. And now it's added to that player. Then it's just going through like normal. During this session, I'm not going to go through the whole workflow, but if you do need a walkthrough on how to do highlights, you can always call our support team. We're more than happy to walk you through that stuff to help you get full on there. Dictate with text notes. Right now, you cannot dictate with text notes. That is not something that we have available. I know we had it at one point many moons ago. Not to say that it won't come back, but right now I don't believe there's a plan for it to come back at this point. Okay, so let's touch on annotations because I did bring that up at one point, so I want to make sure that I do touch on these. I know you all or several of you probably ran into some stuff with annotations this fall. We appreciate you hanging with us. We know it ended up being a lot more than what I originally thought or what we originally thought it was going to be when it came out. You can now add text notes. So I can add this and I can move it, which that's a win, and I can add another one and I can move it. Well, I have to hit enter. And then I can move it. The disappearing text boxes and all of that stuff has been resolved. We have tested it thoroughly over and over and over and over again. We know that part's fixed. The drawing part. So freehand is going to let me draw just like it does in Classic. I just have to select it over here. And we added the ability to just mass delete. So if you're in a session and you just want a quick delete or quick show something and then delete it, the yellow circle that shows up on the scrub bar will show, and then it'll say delete one text effect or however many are there, and then you can delete it off of that. The circles, I can add a circle and then just copy paste Command C or Control C and Control V. Then it will allow me to create another circle. I can adjust it from there. Again, I can just hit Control V at that point and add another one, however I want to do that. Same thing with arrows. If I add an arrow, I can hit Command V, it copies and pastes it so that I can add however many I need to, and I can flip and adjust it wherever I need to go from there at that point. Again, I can just come down here, mass delete it if I need to. If you need to delete just one, you can select that one clip. I gotta think here. I can just click on it and then hit the trash can over there and it deletes just that one. So if you have a mistake, you don't have to just mass delete. You can individually delete them if you need to, but it also gives you the option to mass delete. There.
We've got a question about playlists. So
okay.
For example, how to set up, I want to look at my opponent's offensive plays and stick them in a playlist.
Sure. Yeah. So if I'm scouting the offense here, I can click O just like that. So now I've filtered by all that. If there's anything else that you need to filter by, you can go through and you can filter by all that stuff in here. Then I'll hit all items, new play, offense, plays, scout. I hit this check mark. Now that all those plays have been added there. And if I come in here and hit this part, it'll say created by you and it'll have offensive play scout. If I need to share that out, I can hit the 3 dots and hit share. This also gives me an option to send to assist. Check out the box score, which is the stats page under the team tab. Edit will take you to our online video editor. Copy or move will take you to the manage library page so you can move things around accordingly. Rename is easy enough. Send to assist, same thing. Export data, I can click on this part so I can show only the fields that I have in my column set if that's what I want, or I can do all fields and I can include empty fields if I want. So if I'm going to add information later on, I can do that part. Import is something that we are looking at doing this off season. We don't have it in here at this point, but import is coming this off season before next fall. Because I know that was probably going to be a question. So import, I promise, is on our way. Yes, athletes can still tag their own highlights. They have the ability to do it in here as well as in the app. So that part is good to go there.
Can you
if you make a report, can you only add 3 subcategories? At this point, yes. We came up with 3 because majority of the time, once you hit 3, you've pretty well narrowed down the data enough that it's like 1 or 2 clips on each one. So adding another one may not give you as much there. I do know that if I shared, like I shared out this 3rd down passes one, if I come in here and look at that report, it will give me an option to add another one if I need to. It just gives you a 4th option, but you can only add 1 more at that point.
There's a question around showing how the flags work.
Yeah. So the flags, they're now just these circles. I can drag it here and drag in, and then I can just watch that part. And again, the reverse or rewind sets up the start flag just like it did in Classic. So that part hasn't changed at all as far as that goes.
Can you run over the shift button for fast forwarding?
Yeah. So if I'm in here, if I'm in the breakdown, I can hold shift and then run the breakdown or run the video. As long as I'm holding shift, it allows me to do anything within this portion. As soon as I let go of shift, now it's going to take me to the columns again and let me do the breakdown as far as that goes.
When we upload practice film and add notes to it, how do you share it with like a skill position?
Yeah. So if I have a film here and we'll just click on one of these. I add my notes to it. Then I can just hit this share button and share it with that specific group if I want at that point. Or you can, whichever part. The key is any notes or annotations, as soon as it's shared, they're all going to show for those people that it's shared with. So I recommend making a cut up and then going in there so that it shows that part.
How do custom columns show up in reports or in Analyze?
Yeah, custom columns are going to show up under ungrouped stats unless you move them. So if let me add a custom column here. So if I add this one, I'll put it towards the front here. So if I add that, and then I add another, I have those in here. I might have already moved this past breakup one before. Let me see. The column should show up under here. I think I've moved this before, so I apologize. I probably just didn't move it back when I did that. Regardless, the section is going to show here, so it's going to show under ungrouped stats. So any columns that you have, let me show. I'll just pop in here real quick and show this one with my Analyze. On here, so I can do this. Now it's going to show up just like here. Once it's here, then I can move it anywhere that I need to at that point. So I can adjust it accordingly from there. So like I would move this to offensive tendencies for myself. Then I can see that part of it and go on at that point.
If you create a custom column, does it show up for other coaches?
Yes. Yeah. Custom columns will show up just the same as they do in Classic. That part doesn't change. The column sets. So when you create my bottom portion down here, that's the part that won't show up for every coach. They can import anything that was created in old Hudl Classic. They can import those in here. So if they have those that they already created that column set, they can import it. They just, again, they have to click here, import, and then grab that one that they want, import, and it shows up down here so that they can use that one. So if they have a column set that they've used for years and they just want to bring it over so they don't have to recreate it, that's all they have to do. They just have to hit that import button.
If a team scouts their offense as well as the opponent's offense, how do they use reports to show one or the other?
So all you'd have to do in that case is just watch, like if I filter by offense and then run my report. So if I run my run pass report in here, have my information, cool, I saved it. Then I go defense, run that same report. Now it'll be based off of that offense. So it's just a matter of filtering the ODK before you run that report.
Can you share annotations or drawings with a single player or a group of players instead of an entire team?
You would just have to create the cut up and then send that cut up to that group of players or that individual player with the notes and annotations on there. Yeah.
Can you download a playlist of video?
Not right now in New Hudl. You're not able to download from here. You can still go into manage library and download it that way, which is where it takes you in Classic anyway when you're ready to download. So that part is there. Now, we're going to get that feature added. But at this point, we don't have that ability.
When you're making a playlist, can you click on a column to sort it, such as by frequency?
Yes. Let me come back to this one. Yeah, so when I click on a column, there's 4 options to filter by. So if I filter the first time, it's going to be alphabetically. Second time is reverse alphabetically. Third time is going to be most frequent. Fourth time is going to be least frequent, starting with no data. So it's going to go that route. And then if I click again, it just takes me back to normal order. So you can sort doing that. Yes.
Similarly, can you filter by opposing team in the analyze area, such as in a playlist?
I don't believe so at this point. No. That was one that I think we realized when teams started doing end of season analysis that they would want to do that portion of it. Yeah, I mean, you could filter or you could sort doing this, just do the opposing team there, or just go playlist by playlist and go that route. That would be the workarounds right now.
How different does New Hudl look for a player?
It looks exactly the same as what you're seeing. So they're able to see everything the same as what you guys are seeing. Obviously, there's a few odd and end features, like they can't enter data and stuff like that, but they're able to see the breakdown data. They're able to see the analyze column here and all of that stuff as well. The feature that's really nice for coaches and athletes is this collaborate button. This allows me to have a discussion with my players, which again is why the cut up part of it is really nice. If I create that playlist, I can add certain groups or certain people. So I can add somebody, enter in, watch play 32, what happened here. And I can send that. They get an email saying right now it's going to be a push notification, but right now it's an email. We have a bunch of updates coming to the app, so that will be one of them that'll be coming out. They'll get an email, then they can respond from the app or from a computer. They don't have to be on a computer though to respond, so they can respond in the app and watch that play and then send a response to you, and you can have a live chat with them about it. It doesn't mean that they see what you're watching, but it allows you to have that conversation as you go on. The only part with this is anybody who the playlist is shared with can see these see these comments. So keep that in mind as far as like if you're trying to do a film session while you're like after practice or something like that, that's when making that playlist helps so that you don't have to go back and forth between different groups of positions.
With playlists, can you show any functionality around play cards?
Around play card, like play tools?
Yeah.
We're not going to focus on play tools tonight. We're just going to focus on New Hudl right now. If you do have questions on play tools or you want a demonstration, again, sign up for an expert chat. We're more than happy to walk you through all that stuff, or give us a call during our hours, and we're more than happy to walk through that portion of it.
How do you create cut-ups with annotations for groups or individual players?
Yeah, so if I want to create a cut up, like if I go in here actually, and I have this cut up, okay, I know it's just one play, but then I can just create this and I can put it in test. Okay, so then I can come over here and I can go to this play and I can do my notes on here. And I can drag it down here and then I can hit share and I can share it with who I need to at that point. Now you have your playlist. If you have your groups created, then it goes a lot easier as far as that stuff goes. It also allows you can add groups, like I said, in the collaborate feature as well. So you can have that conversation live so that, you know, if you're wanting to quiz your players and stuff like that, rather than just drawing it out and telling them, it does allow you to, you know, ask them what they think happened on that play and everything like that with that collaborate feature, rather than just drawing it out and then going to the next play. But yeah, either way works.
Can you go over how to pull up the various views? So analysis, the grid.
Yeah. Yep. So we have the watch view right here. So this is the one that film reviews. It gets you to the closest to a full screen without actually going full screen. You can still go full screen right down here. Allows you to go full screen at that point. The analyze button, this is going to let me do left or right side, or I can go full screen with it and just focus on the numbers. I personally just put it on the right side. That's where it kind of defaults to. So I put it there, and you can set this as your default view. What that means is that every time you come into new Hudl, regardless of the playlist, this is what you will see each time. With the breakdown, you have the option to put the grid on the left side, right side, or bottom. And as long as the grid is opposite, I can put the tendency report in another spot so that it's there. So if the grid's on the bottom, the tendency report can be on either side, or I can have no tendency report and I can show at that point. The collaborate, again, it just lets me put it left or right side. This navigate button, it's just kind of a quick view of the plays and what happened on those plays. So there's not a ton there. It's kind of why I don't show it as much, but if you're just trying to get a basic rundown of what happened on the plays, you can click that navigate button. And again, you can put that on any of the 3 spots from there. Oh, I think you're muted.
A coach is asking how to create reports like down and distance, play time, etc. Can you just walk through that again?
Yeah. So if I'm wanting to create a down distance report, let me go to an actual game here. Okay, so if I want to go, I'm wanting to watch all the offense down distance report. I can click on report. Again, this is going to give me an overview report. So this is the basic summary of everything. It's going to show me the main details of it. It gives me a rundown of all of this stuff. And then I can adjust it accordingly. So I can put, you know, I want field zone, I want hash, and then I want play direction. So I can put that stuff in here. It's now going to show me first down. There were 23 plays. From the goal line to the -10, there was 1. It was on the left hash, and they went right. Then it's going to show the next section, so on and so forth. So 10 to 20, there's 1 play. It was in the middle. It went to the left, and then it goes down from there. I can save it by clicking the 3 dots and hitting save. I can share it by that point, or I can print. If I print, it just opens up the big one, and then it pulls up the main report. I can also just put it in full screen so I can look at that part. You just can't watch it while you're looking at the report at that point.
Another question, what are some of the future features that are currently being worked on?
Yeah, so one of the big ones that we are working on is going to be moving over all classic annotations into New Hudl. So we'll do one mass transfer of all your notes and annotations from previous film so that they come into New Hudl. It's not a two-way street. We're not moving stuff from New Hudl into Classic because Classic's going to go away, but we will move that stuff into New Hudl so that you don't lose all that data there. Other things that we're going to be working on is how playlists work currently right now. We have it so that under that opponent is where that playlist lives, and then you have to create it from there. We're going to make it so that you can create an add to playlist no matter where you're at, what opponent you're under or anything like that. Other things that'll be coming, we have some updates to reports. We have a few other things on the docket, but those are the big ones right now that are on there. Importing is going to be one this summer that gets added as well. And then presentations are going to be coming this off season. So we have a few things that we're working on. We're ready to really finish up getting the big ticket items in there, and then we can clean up the little things and go from there. So.
Spencer, if you want to look through the questions real fast and see if there's anything remaining that kind of jumps out at you.
Yeah, let me see. The motion broke down with numbers. It should still transfer over. I believe with motion, the column is different. So motion name is the column that you're looking for rather than just motion. So that one is slightly different as far as that goes, but it should all come over the same. Shouldn't be any difference there. Let's see. Okay, the column heads at the top, they should be there, Marco. So if you're not seeing those for some reason, please reach out to our support team. We'll work with you to figure out what's going on there, but I would love to know more on there. But yeah, it should show exactly like it does with my screen. The font size, it just looks small because I'm a little zoomed out right now. If I zoom in, it looks bigger there. So it gives you a little more, I promise. I was just zoomed out on my screen. RPO will not be added to play type. Here's the reason why. The reason why RPO won't be added to play type is because it could go either way as far as, oh, well, that should be a run or that should be a pass. But they read it wrong or something along those lines. We might tag it incorrectly as far as assist goes and everything like that. Or we may not know that it's actually supposed to be an RPO because he hands it off and all of that stuff. So if you want RPO, you will have to make a custom column for it. Again, it's still going to give you your numbers and everything in New Hudl as far as RPOs go. But that part is there. Tackle for loss should be a result, I believe. Maybe not. It's just sacks. That can definitely be something that we look into. I would guess that we don't because it'd just be loss of yardage. But it counts as a tackle for loss in the stats portion of it. The scouting report stuff, that's an interesting concept. We don't have a way to do it. I know that. But it would be something that we could look into at some point. Not necessarily that we would write it, but at least give you a spot where you could write it yourself. I know a lot of coaches use presentations and things like that to bring that scouting report to life and have it in the library at that point. As far as the display, the roster and team rosters and things like that, we don't have anybody that we work with currently that does that. Roster wise, you can pull in your roster, but opponent rosters, we don't have a way to do that. You would have to get them from like Max Preps or something along that line if you wanted that information. What data is player stuff? Yeah, so you can see any of our player columns. So the passer, rusher, receiver, returner, kicker, and then the opponent stuff will all be in here as well. Intercepted by, recovered by, you can see all those there. That all that information will show at that point. We don't have a firm date on when Classic's going to go away. I can promise you that it will stay for the 2023 season. But we will have it going away at some point in the near future. So now's a great time to do that. The down distance one, like I said, Jason, we are going to look at moving that stuff over. We just haven't at this point. So I promise that it will come. We just haven't done it yet. You can do down distance by personnel, play type, and all that stuff. You just have to filter by the down and distance first. Then you could put personnel, play type, and play all on the same report. So like if I wanted all my first down, 10 plays, and then I needed to run this report on play type, and you said personnel, which I don't think I have filled in, so I'll use offensive strength, and then play, which again, I don't have stuff filled in. So I do play direction. It's still going to give me, this is just first down and 10. So you can do the same thing. You just have to filter by a few things before you run that report. But yes, you can absolutely still do that. Efficiency stat, good question, Lamar. The way ours works is you have to gain 20% on first down, which means 4 or more yards. Then on second down, it would be at least half, right? Am I saying that right? Yes. Second and third down, or second down, you have to pick up at least half. So like if it's 2nd and 6, you got to pick it up. So it's at least 3rd and 3, then it would be considered efficient. And then 3rd and 4th down, you have to pick up the first down in order for us to consider it efficient. Again, you can always go back in and adjust that accordingly. If you're tagging efficiency yourself, that by all means is what you consider efficient at that point in time. Yeah, opponent rushers, receivers, etc., all that stuff, absolutely. If I have my breakdown here and I go in to this, I can pull in like offense, defense. It has all these opponent ones, so I can add all that stuff. And those will show under player stats. So you can just put the player numbers in there at that point.
This will probably need to be our last one. Will all the old reports come over?
Yep. I can't say for certain. I know we are looking at getting the old report versions to come over. I know it's a goal to get all of them. I don't know when or what the timeline is for that, but it is something that's going to be looked at for sure. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for coming and spending your Wednesday night with us. We really appreciate you listening to me talk through all this stuff. I know it's there's been several of these, and I love our turnout for this. If you do have other questions that come up or anything like that, you can always contact our support team. I can show you the Feedback. If you haven't seen this yet, you can give feedback here. We're still monitoring this stuff. If you have questions or anything like that, give us that feedback. We want to see it. It comes directly to our product team and our support team. So we want to see that information there. If you want to set up a one-on-one training or a full group training, you can click that. We're happy to send a Zoom link with our support team. You pick the time and the day. And we will give you a call or we'll send you a Zoom link so that we can meet up and walk through all that stuff. I personally encourage a Zoom over this stuff just because it's a lot more visual than just talking through things. So if you can do that Zoom, you can invite any and all of your staff to sit in on that stuff as well. We want to get as many coaches as possible with it. So we want to ease any transition worries that we have. So sign up for as many of these as you want this off season so we can help you out there.